Welcome back to Seablock. Today we're going to be getting onto circuits, or rather basic circuit boards, and getting that whole stuff set up, because every time I need them, and I need them a fair amount. Oh, I've got quite a big carbon in my inventory. Let me just actually dump that into the power systems. Yeah, every time I need them, I end up having to craft them, and handcraft them, that is, and it's just not nice. So I'm gonna have to really do that properly. Now, I did get a couple of comments last episode. One was that the correct ratio for these is 1 of these blast furnaces to 2 of these to 6 of these. I did remember the 1 of these, 3 of these, which is the right part. It just happens that this can actually apparently support another one. So it is just fine in this layout, because we can have another one of those here, and then another group of 3, etc., and that should be just fine. But yeah, so that is that. Although we aren't using this anywhere near like its capacity right now, you can see we are consuming all of the actual incoming ores. We no need for a sushi belt at the moment, but that's absolutely fine. And then down here, you can see we have mineral sludge, so we can effectively turn on the rubite now if we wanted to. But since that's the same process as this, I'm not going to really cover that just yet. What we are going to cover is putting down a factory. Let's put down a factory up here. And we're going to need some power for said factory. So let's bring some power across. Over here. Okay. And pop inside. Yep, we have a factorissimo building. And from here, we are going to want to create circuit boards. So let's take a look at circuit boards after I choose a new research project. Is there anything I particularly want? Let's have a look. For now, I think I'm just going to go straight to the alloy processing, which looks like it eventually opens a steel metal mixing furnace. And in better furnaces, I'm always sort of liking, and it also leads to logistics too. Is there anything else that needs to be done for logistics too? No, just this. So yep, we're going to take that, and it is just red science, so easy to get started. Right, so as I was talking about electronics, so eventually we're going to want to basically get to the basic electronic board. This leads to the electronic circuit. Very easily leads to the electronic circuit, but as I mentioned before, we need one is basically solder, which is going to be lead and tin, I would imagine, or well, lead and resin, which is going to need another process entirely. But before we get to that, the ones that I'm actually using at the moment are the basic circuit board, so we need that done, and we're going to have that in a building. Copper cable is simple. We can just feed in copper from over here. In fact, I probably should put this building over here, but should I do that now? I'm going to need more land. We can always move it later, remember. You can pick it up with its contents and move it. So, copper cable. We're also going to need wooden boards, and this is the thing that requires the whole chain. Wooden boards from paper, paper from pulp, pulp from alginic acid and cellulose fiber, and each of these come from algae. Okay, now we need to know how much of each of these before we actually go, because everything else is linear. You know, you just go from cellulose paper straight to cellulose pulp, straight to paper, straight to wooden boards, etc. But we need to go back how much of each of these would we need. So we get 2 alginic acid every 10 seconds. Okay, from 10 algae. We get 5 every 2 seconds, so times it by 5, so we get 25 every 10 seconds, and 2 every 10 seconds. And we need 5 versus 20. Okay, so we need more brown algae, about 3 times as much brown algae being produced as green algae, which leads us to think we probably need a few algae plants. So algae, and well, I can make 4. Which is handy, because if we have 3 producing one thing and 1 thing producing another, we get a ratio of 3 to 1. And these tend to be quite straightforward as far as laying things out for algae, but we are going to need a slight difference for the brown algae. The brown algae is going to be most of it. There's also going to be green algae. And you can see right now, it's already making basic circuit boards, which is the thing I don't like handcrafting. So I'm going to wait for it to do that and skip you forwards. And with that done, we now have 4 algae plants somewhere in my inventory. There they are. So 3 brown, 1 green, and we'll have them placed across like that. Usual thing for basically algae plants, they just need water. And that should be simple enough. And again, this is going to be quite a similar layout to our carbon generators, but it doesn't really much matter here. We're just going to choose, well, in fact, we've got two, yeah, we don't want the second recipe, otherwise I have to set things up differently. So, can't mix fluids? That's fine, I'm not trying to mix fluids. Why are you saying can't mix fluids? Oh, we need saline water for that. Okay, let me just set the first one to that, and then I will get saline water in here, which just needs a slightly different process. Let's just go and grab that. Okay, saline water. Forgot we needed this. Saline water, there we go. Water changes from that into saline water and purified water. Now, I think I am just dumping saline water from somewhere right here, right now. Is that going to be saline water? No, that's mineralized and purified. Not exactly what I want. Is there any other way of getting this? Well, yeah, we get it as a kind of... we get it as a kind of offshoot from our washing system. When we get to thin mud water, we eventually get to saline mud water, and that is going to be down there somewhere. Okay, so that's one way of getting it. Not ideal if I had to pipe that up here, but I'm currently dumping it in the actual factory building down there, so I could get it that way. Any other ways? We can just turn it straight from one into the other, but we don't have the technology for that. We don't have the technology for this, nor for this. So we're pretty much stuck with this thing. And we need a hydro plant for it, which is exactly what this thing is. But we are going to get two things out of it. So what I'm just wondering is whether we put the hydro plant inside. 155 kilowatts. I suppose we can cope with that. Hydro plant. What does it need that I don't have? Oh, I can't build a hydro plant. Because I need electronic circuits. And I've used them all. Oh, of course I have. Fine. So we are going to have to get that from somewhere else. Let me go and see which building it is that's doing all my washing. It's going to be this one because it's got the stuff in it. Yep. And you can see right down here, that's the heavy mud water I'm getting rid of. What happens to the saline? Here it is. Yeah, saline water, it's right here. Whether we get enough of it is going to be something else, but we can essentially pipe that outwards. If we just bring this here, I want to make sure it doesn't actually cause a problem in future. So what we can do is just do this, and we'll get an overflow valve, unless I already have one. I think I already have one. Yeah, there it is. Overflow valve. And we will just put that here, have that here, there we go, and pipe it out. So whenever this fills up, it technically will get overflowed into the clarifier, but otherwise we should get it coming out right around here. Okay, and that means I'm going to need to do a few things to get that up where we need it, or move the building down, but I'll do that off camera. And that was quite a simple routing. Didn't really take much at all, so then we can just say brown algae for each of these, please. And that should start using up our saline water. Whether that'll be running at full speed, well, we'll just keep an eye on the lights here from Bottleneck and we'll see. At the moment it is, but then of course it takes quite a while to actually work through these. So from the output here, we may need another row of these in future, but let's just have an output. We can have basically a split belt here. We don't have to, I don't think, worry about having this be on two separate belts, but we'll give it a go. We're going to want to get some inserters sorted out. I'll craft those. Again, that is also basic circuit boards. We'll put them onto each side of a belt, bring them around, leaving enough room for another row of these, and then we'll go on to actually processing them. So if you have a look at what we need to process them, basic circuit boards. We need the wooden boards, which is the major part of it, and we'll just need to bring in some copper, which will be fine. So we basically just need to get alginic acid, and we need to get cellulose fiber. So that is all just in a regular assembly machine in both cases. Okay, and both of those will actually combine to make cellulose pulp. So do we have any assembly machines? I have one. I need to make some more of those as well, and I'll see you when they're done. Okay, and let's just get two assembly machines going with this, and we'll see how well they actually do. We can, of course, increase that later. So let's just get to that, get some more inserters on craft. And yeah, so we need the acid for one, acid, alginic acid that is. There it is. That'll be from the brown algae, and then we need the basically the cellulose fiber from the green algae. Okay, and just need to wait for my inserters. On the output, we're going to then feed both of those out. We can send them again on both sides of a belt. We'll see if this actually works. What may turn out is this particular case where we just don't have enough room for the brown algae, in which case we can easily separate that onto a separate belt. It's not really much of a problem. We just need to remove this across by one and stuff like that, so fine, no problem. And then we need to probably think about outputting this, but let's just get those inserters and we'll get that going. Those are going to feed across and be made into pulp. So the pulp recipe is here. And that should be fine. Again, we'll just basically set this up so it's taking one off the belt, putting them onto the belt at the bottom and passing them along to the next actual thing. Or we can go for direct insertion, doesn't much matter at this particular point. We'll see how we balance things out. You can go and calculate it out using JNEI or FNEI, I should say, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. And I'm just going to make sure that this is on the other side of the belt. There we go. So that's going to work its way through. And then we're going to get the pulp made here, which is fine. And then this one is going to be the paper, which is also fine. So that can just go here, and we'll just move these outward depending on, well, whether they do their job very well. Okay, more inserters. Still more inserters. Fine. That's that done. Paper to wooden boards should be just one further step. So wooden board is just directly paper. So same thing again. And again, we can just directly insert and pass them along if we want to. For the moment, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do this thing, and then I can move them out easily once I figure out where the bottleneck is. Obviously, with the lights. And here it is with just a box simulating the input of copper, plenty in there. And yeah, we've got the problem here, largely that the wooden boards are running at full speed. There's far too much paper for them to run. Well, we can't run any faster than this, and then everything is being blocked because it's basically constrained by wooden boards. So that's a simple problem to actually solve. I'm just going to get rid of this for a second. Okay. And I've got enough space in my inventory, thankfully, to sort this out. We're just going to need another assembly machine. Put it here. Oops, take that out. There we go. Put it here. And we're going to just put in the paper into one of these. Okay, I do have a few basic circuit boards in my inventory, so I should be able to make more stuff without too much trouble. And then we're just going to have to reset the same thing. And where's my assembly machine? So here it is. Yeah, we can put that here, and this is the basic circuit board again. So basic circuit board. Yep, there we go. And that can go there. And I can just feed this with wooden boards. Yeah, info my inventory. And the same thing again, another assembly machine. Wherever I put that recipe, assembly machine. Oh, I'm short of iron. Fine, that's a simple one to fix. There we go, no longer short of iron. And, well, at least a little bit. And then we just get another assembly machine. Where's the recipe down? It is down there. Yep. We also have these electronics assembly machines. I did want to check out at least one of those. I don't have space in my inventory, first of all, so let me just put this down. And again, I'm just going to direct insert here. I'm not going to bother about putting a line down or anything. Let me just dump all my, well, most of my copper. And get another inserter going, which should be simple now that I actually have some of this this product. This needs to be set to cable. Okay, and then one of those assembly machines, I want to actually craft one. Can I, without problems? Yes, because they're generally better than these ones for doing electronic stuff, but they're limited in terms of recipes that they can actually make. So you can see the smaller, which is kind of handy. But can they actually make any of this earlier stuff? They can do the cable. And they can do the basic circuit board. They can't do any of the other prerequisite steps, but they can do both of those steps. So if I have another one of those, and it's generally better to use them whenever you can. Let me just get another assembly. Oh, am I short of basic circuit boards again? I am. Fine. Let me just cancel that for a second. because all I need to do is grab some wooden boards. Can I click rolling stock? What did I actually press? When I press F, assembly machine. I've just picked up wooden boards. That should be much simpler to do. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll pick this up, and we'll just replace each of these two, and we just need to move, shouldn't everything across one by one or two, but we can't just place them directly down on top like that. But that can go there, this can go here, and everything else will work. Oop, my inventory's going to be full. Yeah, let's dump all copper into it, most of it. There we go. They look tiny. Oh, but they should work just fine. There it goes. Okay, and then of course we need to have an output there, so another inserter, and we can just actually straighten this on the output now, which is nice. Okay, so that's now all working. We need to leave it alone a little while just to see where the bottlenecks are. If you want to do it like this method, again, as before, you can calculate it out. But as long as I have the what you want to really do is have this thing running at full speed. That may not be possible, but you can see right now it's needing more cable, and this is constraining its output, so we need another inserter. Okay. And that should keep everything running as fast as it can. And mostly it's running at full speed now. At least as long as the wooden board supplies last. Which may again be why we need yet more machines producing more wooden boards. I'm going to leave it alone for a little while. And out here, there's 40 in this chest. So I'm not box thing in Minecraft there. And I will just take all of them because that makes it much, much easier to make stuff. And here's my final setup, at least for the moment. You'll see I'm probably going to need a little bit more green algae maybe, but the idea of having this sort of alternating strips here is that if I want to change one of these to rebalance the whole line, as long as it's a linear line, I can just basically change the recipe and cut off the belt a little bit sooner and then just switch the belts over without moving any of the actual assembly machines themselves. So that's straightforward, or as long as you have a sort of factorissimo building like this, it's kind of convenient. Anyway, so that is all running now. We have paper running in. All these are green, you can see. Apart from, you can see this is just about running out here and just about running out here. So what should happen over time is that we're going to need a little bit more on the inputs. However, these are twice as fast, these electronic assembly machines. So if I replace them with like these versions, then 2 of these will be able to keep up with 1 of these. But as it is, we need to have all 4 of these running at full speed to be able to keep up with 1 of these electronic assembly machines. It doesn't matter that much because I don't need that much output. I just want a box out there I can go run along occasionally, pick up and have many, many basic circuit boards, which is exactly what it does right now. And that's pretty much automatic and I don't have to manage it other than that. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that so far. If you have any ideas for improving this, of course, feel free to. I'm not that concerned about exactly balancing it as long as we've got nice output going. And this input a little bit here, we can do with a little bit more balancing, but that's fine. That's easy enough to actually do. All right, so with that done, we probably want to pick up some other bits and pieces. You can see my power's still fluctuating, so when I have chance to, I'm just adding more turbines, because turbines are effectively free. They consume resources, of course, but at the same time, we can just drop them down. And because we have automatic land production at the moment, it's really not that much of a problem. We can just drop down another array and make up some more power poles, I guess. And I clearly need some extra wood bricks to actually make sure I don't have to handcraft everything from scratch. But you get the idea. That'll reduce the load on the steam engines, and we should be able to go further with that. And it slowly increases over time. You can see they're fluctuating right now because of a lack of supply again. So yeah, maybe I need to cut these off from the rest of it and make sure the buildings are powered. Anyway, we shall leave that bit there, and I'll bring you back once I've sorted out the power issue. Now, with our basic electronic circuits solved, or at least mostly solved, well, not basic electronic circuits, basic circuits solved, we need to actually get that to be better. And have I run out of copper? I have. I'm fine. I've got lots of them at the moment. How much excess copper? I have quite a lot. Let me just dump. Let me just convert all of this over into basic circuit boards as well, and that should. Whoops, not that. Not you. Give me some of that back, and then everything else should continue. Right, so from that we need to go a little bit further, and over here, you remember we had these mineral sludge able to be converted into rubite, but I didn't set it up. So I've set it up now. It all outputs fine, but remember, well, if you look, we're actually low on mineral sludge. That's happening just because of the power issues. I've turned off a lot of the electrolyzers, etc, etc. It's a careful balance at the moment, but we have lots of extra rubite here. It's coming up here into a metal mixing furnace where we're converting it into lead plates. And we already have some tin plates when we had the tin set up, so I've just put those into a box. And again, we can set the same thing up, but with bobmonium. Perhaps have one of these be bobmonium instead, and we'll see where we go. You can obviously just balance it out with electricity from whatever is in your base. Both of those have an alternate recipe called solder plate. Now, solder plate is the alternative. Look for solder. Solder can be made with resin and solder plate, okay, but it also can be made with solder plate and alginic acid. And you remember, alginic acid is something we already make from brown algae. So that's going to be the simplest route towards making some solder to get us started. Now we could think about feeding this back into that same building, because if we can put basically lead plate in there and tin plate, we can get solder back out if we can produce excess alginic acid. For the moment though, I'm just going to go and generate some manually. So we're going to create some solder plate first of all. And that's going to be straightforward by just feeding in some stuff in here. And we will just feed the output back onto a separate belt going the other way. Yep, that should do it. And we'll just feed it this way and can reconfigure these. Yes, they're going to be configured to go from 1 to 2. It's not optimal, but hey, it will actually work for the moment. And then we have basically our solder plate, which is good, because all we need to do is combine that with the alginic acid. Now, will that actually use one of those new electronic assembly machines? Solder plate, it will. We can use electronic assembly machines for that. Of course, we do need some alginic acid, so we maybe want to think about getting some of that exported out, or at least that solder plate should come into this building somehow. I haven't decided where yet. I'm deciding more and more this needs to probably not be over here, but instead be over here. For example, the saline water is perfectly fine. We could route that over here as well. And the offshore pump would also work well separately. You know what? I think I'm actually going to move it. And here we now have our solder plate coming in. Just to show you outside, it's moved. Again, you can just pick up the building and move it with all its contents. And needs a little bit of reworking for the saline. It needs to go underneath and then back around inside, etc. So I don't have to change the layout in here. But other than that, it works fine. So we got our solder plate coming in, and that means we can then make an assembler machine, and probably the electronics version. Well, I'll just make 2 of them. And we should be able to combine the alginic acid here, which is kind of nice and handy. And combine that with this. So if we just put that there, in fact, probably feed it over here, to be honest. Yep. And let's see what we have for this. So we can then make this solder recipe. And then I need some more inserters, but you get the idea. We can get that coming in here. I could even send it this way if I wanted to, but it's fine for the moment. Get some of more inserters. There we go. Alright, so they should, they should now start making solder once it has enough solder plate. And then we can just feed outwards onto other belts if we wanted to. Again, this will go 1 to 2. No, we could. I don't really want to do that. I want to actually feed it onto a separate belt. Yeah, let's copy and paste that. Get rid of that line and then just dump everything back into the system. There it is. Okay, so there is our solder. It's quite important because that's one of the 3 components for the electronic circuit. So basic electronic circuits. You can see this one, basic circuit board, is going to go up into, come on, give me the recipe. Is it not the first recipe? It really should be the first recipe. Let's go for electronic circuits over here. Electronic circuits. There they are. So basic electronic board and iron plate. Alright, so basic electronic board. that's one of those recipes that just doesn't turn up. There it is. Just go via basic electronic components. So solder and basic circuit boards we're making in here. Basic electronic components, well, that's going to need some copper and it's going to need some carbon. And the carbon's the problem. I have so much problem getting carbon. It's ridiculous. Is there not a more efficient way of getting this? Or rather, an even better result? Can we actually use the carbon for anything else? Convert into a better fuel source. I don't think there's anything better than carbon at this particular point. No, it's pretty much just carbon. So I want a better way of actually generating it. Well, there's the steam and charcoal, which is what we're already doing. There's unknown item name Angel's Electrode used. Nope, that's not what we want. And nitrogen and sodium hydroxide can convert 4 to 6. But what's the other recipe? That's 2 to 3, so that's no good. That's exactly the same ratio. So yeah, there is no better way sort of this than that. We have to make wood bricks, and we have to make that from wood pellets, and we have to make that from cellulose fiber. But there's more ways to generate cellulose fiber. Is there any better way available to me, or at least available soon? Wood. It's going to have to be the wood changeover, and this happens a little bit later in usually in the pack, because you need to generate wood from basically tree farms, and we don't have them yet. I have the tree arboretum, the basically the things needed for this, but looks like I think that's been added. I don't think 0.16 had saw blades, because it looks like you use the saw blade up every time you make wood. Now, what's the saw blade made of? Oh, it's just iron. Okay, so that'll be fairly simple to automate. Trees, however. Trees, yes. Made in arboretums, as you might imagine. Needs water, soil, and tree seeds. Tree seeds are just soil, so everything is just soil. That's mud and compost. Mud we already have, you know, we're making grass out of it, basically, but compost is made from green algae. So it looks like we can already make wood, although it probably needs an episode to itself, but you get the idea. We are, however, going to need so basic electronic circuits. We're going to need both of these, which we have both of them in here now, and I can probably just box them up. That shouldn't be a problem. And then we're going to need to think about this. We could do some manually. That's certainly a possibility, and probably what I'm going to do. I just need some tinned copper wire, which is tin and copper, as you might imagine, and some carbon. So I could do that manually. So if I have some solder in my inventory, and if I have some of these in my inventory, which we know we already have, then I can maybe make more algae farms, which will make things a lot better. So, yeah, possibly. Let me just go and check how much. I want to make sure I don't use up all the tin. Let me just take 200 tin, and then I have some copper. So why don't we just see if I can handcraft some tinned? Yes, I can. Okay, I'll make some of that, and that should mean I can make some basic electronic components. Hopefully, it can only be done in crafting machines. But that isn't a problem, because I can make a crafting machine just for it. And we'll actually just dump it in here. We have both of these available, so I'm going to send this on a belt. And I was going to think about feeding it outwards. But for now, I'm going to keep it on a separate belt. We don't need to. We can put it outside into that same box. But from here, I can then use this assembly machine just to do something basically manual whenever I want them, to make the basic electronic boards. So there they are. And we just feed it in with a couple of inserters. Okay. And then the only thing that's left is that basic electronic components, which again, another assembly machine. Nice when I have these in my inventory now. And we can go for direct insertion of these. So, where's the option? There it is. And this just needs carbon and tin copper wire. And of course, I can feed in the tin copper wire from my inventory. Hopefully, I've got some. Yep. And carbon, I probably don't. Oh, do I have some? I do have some carbon. Okay, off it goes. And that will get inserted, and then we'll bring that out, at which point we can just get another assembly machine. Okay, and we can have that do the final step, which is to make electronic circuits, these. Okay, and all this needs is basically a box with iron in it for now. I'm literally out of iron. Where's my iron? There we go. Gonna need far more iron than that, but that's fine. We'll have it set up manually for now. Just a couple more inserters, it looks like. And then I'm not sure if I can feed them out into a box. Not easily. Just because I had to rework this. I'd have to change around how that actually got in there. Do I want to do that? For now, it's fine. I'll just leave them in the box inside. So that just needs some iron. And then it can be fed into a box. And we have some electronic circuits. Albeit they be manual-ish. And I need to go and make other stuff, but you can see it's fine here as far as the solder plate's concerned until we run out of tin, of course, and that's going to be the limit. That's where we need probably one of these with tin. And you can see they're out of mineral sludge because I turned off the electrolyzers. Yes, that's sort of, again, this vicious circle that I just need more power. Because I turned off the electrolyzers, the power's working just fine. Ah, dear. I will figure. Well, I'm going to the right building. I will figure out how to actually get this balanced at some point. It just needs improvement in the processes more than anything else. So that can go back in, that can go back in, and you know, we'll see where we go from there. Let's just paste that recipe down, and it'll start producing slag again. Let's grab land and let's see where we're at with. Do I have more turbines? I'm just adding all my excess stuff into making turbines. And we can just grab iron, steel, and copper from up there. And that should be enough to make more turbines. How many more can I actually make? 3. Not great. It's mainly a shortage of iron right now. And that's fine. We'll see. You can see these are actually... Oh, no, that's not actually backstuffed. We can actually maybe shut these down while this is going. Yeah, let's shut them off. We've got more than enough crushed to get us going for circuits for the moment. Or we can just change them over to make tin, etc. In fact, why don't I just do that? We're going to change you over in recipe to make bobmonium, which is the tin. And this then can't be used here exactly like this. We have to just have 2 separate ore crushers, which I should have. Yeah, one there and one there. And they'll need to do their individual recipes. Okay, and then they can be fed onto a belt. Now, we've got to be a bit careful here in that they'll feed onto the same belt if I do that at the moment, which may be okay. We'd have to do some kind of sushi belt thing up here again, and probably convert across to angel smelting for them as well, but that's a thing for another episode. We've got it started. I've got a few electronic circuits in my inventory now, which means I can then go and make those things I couldn't do before. One, I can make that hydro plant I was short for, but also we can make better algae plants, algae farms. Yeah, algae farms. Level 2 ones just now needs stone brick, iron pipe, and algae farms Mark 1. I have the electronic circuits, which means I can just swamp this belt here and have these working at full speed. You can see this one doesn't always get everything it needs, and it has algae farms Mark 1. So if we replace a few of these, they are better at doing their job. Green algae, I can just dump stuff in here for now. But no, we don't want to do that long term. So that's it for today's episode, a basic version of our electronic circuit sort of line, and we will get to a more polished version once we have some more resources and a bit more power and a bit more technology increase, stuff like that. If you've got any suggestions or if you want to see anything change from what you've seen on screen, if I've made any mistakes, feel free to put them down in the comments below. Otherwise, if you'd like the episode, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share as you normally would, and of course, yeah, as always guys, thanks for watching.